All the action takes place in a beautiful big white castle which is surrounded by many towers. A young guy is sitting at the table and waiting for his food to be served. Next to him is his butler, a beautiful and young maid preparing food to be served to the young man. She was very nervous, so much so that drops of sweat formed on her cheeks. As she brings the food to the young man, she realizes that her hands are shaking very badly. She carried the plate very carefully, looking straight at it so as not to spill anything. Yet, no matter how concentrated the girl was, she still dropped the plate she was carrying, as if she was scared and very disappointed about what had happened. A young guy gets up from the table and orders the girl to clean up what she spilled. The same plate fell right in front of him and spilled out. The guy looks very annoyed. The other maids are shocked by what has happened. The young girl apologizes for what she has done and realizes that she has made a very big mistake. The girl is comforted by another maid. She asks her if she is all right and tells her not to cry. The girl looks very disappointed. The other housekeeper says she understands. She could have been killed. And in that case, the feeling of fear is absolutely justified. The girl who dropped the plate says that she was not upset because of that. She was upset because she let His Majesty get up from the table with an empty stomach. She says she feels very guilty because His Majesty stayed hungry. The second housekeeper asks her if she's one of them. The girl who dropped the plate doesn't understand what she's being asked. The second housekeeper says she thought it was a pleasure to serve His Majesty. Wiping up what she had spilled on the table, the girl said that she was not at all bitter about serving His Majesty, but rather flattered to be serving him. Turns out His Majesty is her favorite character from her favorite novel called The Holy Maiden and the King of Darkness. Turns out she's excited because she gets to serve His Majesty the King of Darkness, Klaus. It turns out in real life this girl was hit by a truck when she was crossing the road. The truck lost control. Then the girl thought she was dead. But then when she woke up, she was very surprised. Because she was facing her favorite character from The Holy Maiden and the King of Darkness, Klaus told her she'd serve him. At first the girl did not understand why Klaus was where she was, nor did she understand in what sense he was to be served. But the next moment she realized she'd fallen for the Holy Maiden and the King of Darkness. She turned out to be the daughter of the local feudal lord Anna Revel. It turns out it was her father who put her where she is now, and so that she could become His Majesty Klaus's maid. And her father introduced her to a teacher of manners, and only then could she serve him. She really liked Klaus. She even asked herself if he was the King of Darkness Klaus, because he looked just like he did in the illustrations. He did look quite majestic. It turns out Klaus was her favorite character, the one she looked up to more than her birth parents, and it was only then that she realized she'd fallen into that novel's world of holiness and darkness. Even now, after she spills her plate, she takes things away and goes into her own thoughts. She thought she would at least try to serve her favorite character, but she can't do it. The other maids talk among themselves about her. They think the girl is cursed with darkness because she serves the King of Darkness himself. The girl has heard all this gossip. It turns out that she serves His Majesty Klaus, who is called the King of Darkness and is very much feared, and all because he has the curse of darkness on him. Klaus killed both his enemies and his allies. Everyone thought he was cursed, so he became the King of Darkness, and the people who believed the unfounded rumors condemned Klaus. But in the girl's favorite novel, the Holy Virgin appeared before the suffering Klaus, and only she could save him through the power of love. As she puts her things on the ropes, she remembers how much she cried at the charms removal scene. She seems to enjoy remembering those moments. The girl realizes that it's time for the Holy Virgin to appear, just as it was written in the novel. And if she doesn't, the curse on Klaus can't be broken. Once a month, the King of Darkness stays away from people and closes himself in his room. Passing Klaus's room, the girl hears screams and moans of pain. She thinks about how painful his voice is. When she opens the door to Klaus's room, the girl is shocked. You can see it in her gaze. She realizes that the maiden didn't show up. She couldn't stand his screams of pain, so she opened the door to his room wide open and ran in. She saw Klaus lying on the bed, writhing in pain. He was sweating and his eyes were glowing red. Realizing that someone had entered his room, Klaus asked who it was. She walks over to the bed where Klaus was lying, and with a handkerchief in her hand, she decides to wipe the sweat from his forehead, at which point Klaus grabs her hand. He throws the young girl on his bed and looks straight into her frightened eyes. His eyes still the same red color and her eyes blue as the sky. Taking a closer look, Klaus realizes it's his maid Anna. The incredibly evil king of darkness asks her why she's here, while staring at her with his crazy eyes. His misunderstanding is based on the fact that she took a big risk going in there, because he could have killed her and raped her. The mad king of darkness looks at the girl and asks her if she's ready to be sacrificed. Klaus gently touches her hands and then starts kissing her neck. You can see that Anna likes it very much. She blushed and started to make sounds of pleasure. Anna realizes that when Klaus's lips touch hers, she feels a strange and very pleasant sensation, and even arousal from his actions. Suddenly, Klaus was angry. He was starting to look like he was feeling incredible pain mixed with inhuman anger again. Anna being with him, she doesn't understand what to do in such a situation, and thinks that it's probably because of the curse. The confused girl asks herself, where is the Holy Virgin? While Klaus becomes even more evil. The girl knows that the curse of darkness can only be broken by the Holy Virgin, and she doesn't understand why she is just a servant from the background. Anna realizes that if things continue like this, Klaus will die. The girl hugs Klaus. I turn to the void. She asks that in exchange for anything, Klaus be saved from the curse. A blue glow appears around them. The girl can't understand what's going on, but she has an idea that she finds very hard to believe. From her facial expression, we can understand that she is scared, but at the same time delighted. Klaus, seeing everything that is happening as well as Anna, does not understand anything, but he decides only to ask the young girl who she is. The King of Darkness, being in Anna's arms, closes his eyes and I tilt my head back. Anna blushes and is very surprised at what is happening. I touch his face. Anna realizes Klaus is asleep. She thanks God Klaus is still alive. Klaus changes his sleeping posture, but the girl realizes that she won't be able to hold it until morning. During breakfast the next day, Klaus and Anna are talking to each other. Anna asks Klaus what's going on, blushing a lot, to which Klaus replies that when he touches her, he feels much better. Klaus hugs his housekeeper Anna from behind. He forks up the food they brought him and tells Anna to open her mouth. Apparently, he wants to feed her. She diligently refuses to eat. Anna asks His Majesty not to feed her, to which she gets a sharp question about whether she's refusing him. Klaus looks very stern. Anna thinks about the fact that when her idol looks at her like that, she cannot refuse him. She realizes that he is unemotional, but also knows that he is actually very lonely and kind inside. Klaus still manages to feed Anna. The girl looks very satisfied and a little embarrassed, and Klaus still looks at her with the same gaze. Then someone says to Klaus, "Stop it." After looking at who said it, the girl realizes it's Chancellor Raymond. According to the girl, he's kind of an unpleasant character with a lot of powers. Raymond looks pretty serious. Klaus hugs the uncomprehending girl and asks the Chancellor, "Didn't he say that when this girl is around, he feels better?" He looks at the Chancellor with his piercing gaze. Klaus also asks him if he would be better off if Klaus were dead. Klaus's words are aggressive. The Chancellor bows and says it can't be. Stroking Anna's head, Klaus asks the Chancellor what he doesn't like, to which he simply apologizes for being too intrusive. Anna is very excited about everything that's happening, so much so that she's sweating. She wonders if the Chancellor has enlisted her as his adversary. Klaus tells the girl not to worry. The girl realizes that the King of Darkness looks like he is much relieved, but she knows that only the Holy Maiden can break the curse. Klaus is drinking wine, while Anna, who was sitting on his knee, asks him if the Holy Virgin has come, and she gives him a meaningful look. Klaus sets his guilt on the table, and as if surprised by such a question, it turns out this is the first time he's heard of the Holy Maiden. Anna herself is very surprised, so much so that she is confused about what is going on. She asks herself if Klaus really doesn't know the Holy Maiden. She doesn't understand what is going on at all. The girl sees a rather large wound on Klaus's neck. She wonders when the wound appeared, assuming it appeared when he was suffering from the curse. Anna touches his neck, exactly where he has the wound. She asks Klaus if it hurts. She doesn't want to look at her idol's painful face, and asks herself again, does the denouement differ from the original? Klaus grabs her hand that touches his neck. He asks Anna if she's inviting him and tells her that if so, they're going to have an amazing evening. Anna is sitting by the fountain, with the castle in the background, and is hugging some book. She is thinking about Mr. Claus being too active right in the morning. She remembers him saying at breakfast that they were going to have an amazing evening, Thinking about the evening, she realizes it's the same one. It turns out the girl is scared to spend the night with Klaus. She's scared to spend the night with her idol. She thinks she'll die of happiness. She wanted to see the story through the eyes of a minor character. But looks like the story itself is getting kind of weird and confusing. She tried to find a book curse in the library, but what she sees doesn't really help her. The girl looks very disappointed that she couldn't find the right book to help her. According to Anna, the fact that his curse is weakening means that a magic circle was activated that night to weaken his curse. Anna thinks that she may be the one who activated the magic circle that weakened Klaus's curse. Anna suggests that maybe the curse of darkness was put on Klaus because the previous king was a tyrant, but she rightly points out that the book is unlikely to say so. She thinks that if the Holy Virgin were here, everything would be solved in a moment. And if the Holy Virgin were here, Klaus would never have to suffer like this again. She remembers the night she walked in on him, and he was sweating on his bed. Anna decides to keep her spirits up and affirmatively says that she will do everything in her power. Tears are visible in her eyes. She looks very motivated. She thinks if she activated the magic circle, there must have been a reason for its activation. And I also remember Klaus saying at breakfast that the moment he touched her, he felt so much better. It dawned on Anna. She remembered Klaus kissing her neck that night. And confused suggests that to activate the magic circle, one must engage in inappropriate behavior. Suddenly, from behind Anna reading a book, someone grabs her wrist and says she's busted, turns around. She sees it's Chancellor Raymond. She asks Chancellor Raymond if anything has happened. Looking very agitated, the irritated Chancellor asks the housekeeper how she managed to deceive His Majesty Klaus, because he thought it would be enough to get rid of the Holy Virgin. Anna is sweating with excitement as usual when she hears the Chancellor's words of deliverance. She finally realizes that it was because of him that the Holy Virgin did not appear to Klaus. She is in a stupor, and the Chancellor starts shouting for her to respond. Clutching her wrist in his hand, the enraged Chancellor asks her if she really thinks she's allowed to do anything because Klaus likes her. The girl doesn't answer. She just says she's in pain. Suddenly, someone asks what the Chancellor is doing. He takes his eyes off Anna and sweats to see who told him that. It was Klaus. He asks who allowed Raymond to touch her in the first place. A somewhat startled Raymond is surprised to see Klaus here. Still holding Anna's wrist, he tries to say something. He says he was just giving her directions. Klaus asks Chancellor Raymond if he heard what he just said, and he says to get your hands off Anna immediately. Raymond is very surprised by this statement, and at the same moment he lets Anna go. He apologizes to Klaus for what he did, and Anna sits on the grass watching with a very frightened look on her face. Klaus walks up to Anna, sits on one knee, and asks her if she's okay, to which he gets a positive answer, at which point he extends his hand to her, and she repeats the action. Holding her hand in his, a satisfied and calm Klaus claims that only she can be unafraid to touch him. He looks at her hand as if he's about to kiss it. Anna is very much surprised and pleased with what Klaus said. She is very surprised to see this rare face of his. She is so happy to see him happy that she supposedly saved this picture on her cornea 1,000,000 times over. Klaus pulls a confused Anna to his chest and hugs her. He tells Chancellor Raymond that he is hiring Anna as his personal maid as of today. That is, he will no longer be able to give her instructions. The Chancellor, slowly departing, bows to His Majesty as usual and says it will be as he wishes. Anna tries to stop Raymond, for she has not yet learned of the Holy Maiden, but Klaus distracts her by hugging her and reminding her that he promised her an amazing evening. As usual, Anna is very excited and confused about what's going on, sweat dripping down her face again. She apologizes to Klaus, and as if bouncing off him, Klaus looks down at the ground, and seeing 2 large books, he asks Anna what she's reading, but she can't answer. Klaus picks up one of the books, and with one hand holding the book, and the other, Anna reads what is written on the cover. He looks thoughtful. Kings of Darkness asks Anna if he understood what she read about his curse. The embarrassed girl, very worried, tells him that it's true. She lets him know that she thought it would be nice to have some idea of how to break Klaus's curse. Saying all this, Anna looked a little embarrassed. She blushed. A smirking Klaus says he's got it all figured out, and then takes Anna in his arms, surprised by this, because she couldn't have expected it. Klaus kisses her on the forehead. Anna tries to say something to him and ask him something, but she can't. Klaus says if she wants, he can tell her when they're in bed. The satisfied king of darkness says that Anna, who doesn't keep her promises, must be punished, and he hasn't let Anna out of his arms for a second. Klaus carries Anna to his room and throws her on his bed to fulfill his promise of a memorable evening, and at the same time punish Anna as he told her before. Anna looks very embarrassed. The king of darkness pours red wine into his glass, while the confused Anna still doesn't understand what's going on, if he's really going to do it. In her mind, a pleased Klaus moves closer to her, and almost right up to her. She's embarrassed, but doesn't miss the opportunity to look at the pleased idol with at least one eye. Klaus drinks his glass of wine and glances at Anna. He asks her if she would like to drink wine with him. Anna hastens to refuse but remembers to thank him for the offer. He smirked and started to really get close to her, already putting his hand on the bed. It was clear that Klaus was serious about keeping his promises. He gently touches Anna's chin, lifting her face. They look into each other's eyes. Klaus radiates confidence while Anna radiates embarrassment. He notices that she is very calmly waiting for him in bed. As Klaus came even closer, he practically kissed Anna, and the girl was apparently ready. As she closed her eyes and waited for the kiss, Klaus asked her if she wanted it to happen sooner. As she looks at Klaus, she notices his lips, which apparently drive her crazy, and His Majesty says he never tires of looking at Anna. At this time, the plaid-covered girl becomes even more confused. Anna does not understand what is happening, but apparently she likes everything that is happening, because she does not offer any resistance. Klaus lay down on the bed. He reaches out his hand to the girl and tells her to come closer to him, and when she does, Klaus puts his hand on hers, hugs her and closes his eyes as if he's going to sleep. Anna's mind goes into dissonance. She doesn't understand what's going on because she was expecting the opposite. She calls out to Klaus, but he covers her mouth with one finger and tells her to be quieter. Klaus says that if Anna is so horny, she won't be able to sleep, and they both look meaningfully into each other's eyes. Surprised and overly red, Anna asks Klaus what she wants to know, which is whether she's right about sleeping with Klaus. Klaus is a little surprised at such a question from her, and looking at Anna lovingly, he asks the girl what she expected. Anna panics. Because she was wrong in her judgment about this evening with Klaus, she realizes that she just misunderstood him. She becomes very ashamed, and she thinks that she is very embarrassed, because she was expecting something else. Candles are burning in their room, and Klaus can't remember the last time he fell asleep so peacefully. So they snuggle up with a blanket and snuggle together and decide to sleep. In his opinion, he started to sleep well thanks to Anna, because it's probably because the girl yesterday weakened his curse. He doesn't know if these two things are connected, and if it was because of that. But when he touches her, he feels better. Covering herself up to her nose with the blanket, she asked Klaus if she had activated the magic circle that had made him feel better. His Majesty asks her if she hasn't realized it before, but Anna says that she's never used a magic circle in her life, and she doesn't know how she could do such a thing, at which point Klaus touches her face and covers her mouth. Moving his hand to Anna's cheek, Klaus says that when he touches her, it doesn't hurt. All the while they look into each other's eyes, and Anna doesn't look as embarrassed as she used to. The King of Darkness says that thanks to Anna, his curse has weakened. Apparently, the activation of the magic circle has a big effect on how he feels. Anna is very happy to have helped Klaus. She says, thank goodness, because it's the best possible outcome. But she's not entirely happy with what's happening, because she says that someday she'll have to find a way to get rid of his curse completely. Then Klaus gets on top of Anna and tells her that she's absolutely right, and maybe this way she should not just touch him. He again comes face to face very close to Anna, practically touching his lips to hers, and asks Anna if she wants to loosen up a bit. She's very embarrassed and blushing again, as she was before. She has some thoughts about what's going on, because she thought it would be the same. But if it will soothe Klaus's pain, she's ready, which she tells Klaus she is. He kisses her gently on the forehead, until she doesn't understand why he kisses her on the forehead, and then Klaus hugs her again and says goodnight to Anna. The girl is just puzzled, because everything was going to a completely different outcome. But she realizes that Klaus finally called her by her name for the first time, and she loves it. She wondered if Klaus, who had never let her out of his arms for a second, had fallen asleep. But he did, and he fell asleep very quickly. Anna doesn't understand what she should do, because she realizes that this way she won't be able to sleep. The girl is still confused from everything that happened before. She remembered what Klaus had said to her in bed with her earlier, saying that he hadn't fallen asleep like that in a long time, not even remembering the last time it had happened. Anna thinks about all of this, makes the only right decision, and thinks that if she is of use to him, she will have to be patient, as the girl is ready to do anything for her idol Klaus, and to ease his pain from the curse of darkness imposed on him. It's morning, the sun is shining in the sky, and Klaus and Anna are still in the same bed. Klaus wakes up first. He sees Anna sleeping on him. Klaus is half naked. He touches the contented face of the sleeping Anna, who is dreaming about something. She starts talking in her sleep. She repeats the same word combination twice, and it is as if she was calling, repeating Mr. Klaus, Mr. Klaus. Klaus looks at Anna with a satisfied look, and saying that she saved him again, he kissed the sleeping Anna gently on the cheek. Anna was surprised when Klaus told her that from that day on she would be his personal maid, but her duties were unchanged. However, there was something that remained in question for Anna. She asks Klaus for permission to return to her work. She was on his knee while he was in his office reading something. Without distracting herself from reading some paper, Klaus says that being with him is Anna's job, but Anna insists on continuing the dialogue and asks if Klaus wants her to do something else besides sitting next to him while he's busy doing his job. Touching his lips, Klaus says that something she could really do for him. He looks at Anna, which makes her blush immediately. Blushing, wild thoughts immediately came to Anna's mind, wondering if Klaus wanted her to perform some impropriety. Klaus touches her head and shatters her thoughts, telling her that he wants to taste the tea she's brewing, and he wants to taste the food Anna's cooking, and tells her it's possible to go on a long horseback ride. As usual, Anna looks very surprised by the answer, because she was expecting the opposite. She looks happy and at the same time very embarrassed. Klaus looks lovingly at Anna, and seeing her surprise, asks her what she thought when she heard that he really needed something. Anna couldn't give any concrete answer, just mumbled something, and Klaus told her that he was ready to go on a trip tomorrow. Just then, Chancellor Raymond walks into his office, looking very serious, as if worried about something. Klaus is very surprised that the Chancellor has come into his office like this. Raymond apologizes to Klaus for walking into his office like that, justifying his insolence by Klaus not answering his knocks. Seeing him, Anna looks puzzled. She recalls what she learned about the Holy Maiden. She realizes that after all, the Holy Maiden will not appear, and in her opinion, she does not have the strength to fully get rid of the curse that is on the king. The Chancellor says he'll be in trouble if Klaus doesn't take care of state business right away, to which Klaus replies that he can do without it for a day, to which he gets an objection about his plans to go somewhere with Anna. But then Klaus remembers what he was just talking about with Anna. As if in an orderly manner, and with no disrespect to the Chancellor, he says that he told the cooks to let Anna cook in the kitchen. Raymond wanted to say something back, but was immediately answered. Klaus asked him not to make him repeat himself. Sitting in his chair with Anna on his lap, who was clearly uncomfortable, Klaus tells Chancellor Raymond that what he said was an order. The Chancellor has no other option but to comply, which he does, but in doing so, he glares furiously at Anna, and she thinks Raymond will think she's to blame for this again. Klaus asks Anna if she knows how to ride horses. She's a little surprised by the question, but says she's never ridden one before. The next day, Klaus and Anna are riding a horse. The girl looks pretty scared because she hasn't had that experience before. Anna is surprised that the two of them ride the same horse, and in general, she never thought that the day would come when the two of them will sit on his favorite horse, which is called Dante. After slowing down a bit, Klaus asks his beloved how she liked horseback riding. Anna liked it very much, which she told Klaus she thought it would be scary, but it turned out that it was not at all so. Klaus tells Anna that he could ride with her whenever he wanted. They tied the horse to a tree that they could stop and take a meal. Klaus was very surprised to see so much unfamiliar food. He looks pleasantly surprised. Turns out all this food was cooked by Anna. She made it all this morning, and everything she cooked was made with knowledge from her past life. Poking her fork into the first dish, she says it's called tamagoyaki, hoping Klaus will like what she's made for him. Holding out her fork to Klaus, she feeds him her dish. Klaus looks pleasantly surprised at the innovation. He tells her it's sweet. Anna immediately blushes and asks Klaus about his tastes, focusing on sweet things. She thought he didn't like sweet things. From what she's told, their family put sugar in their tamagoyaki. Klaus is already taking refills, saying that he likes Anna's dish and calls it delicious, also emphasizing that it is the taste of Anna's house, to which Anna mentally replies that it is the taste of her house from a past life. Anna notices that King Klaus's hand was very warm. She holds out a mug of tea to him, which she brewed just as Klaus wanted. We learn the history of Klaus. It turns out that Klaus inherited his throne from his father. It's been 5 years since the truce was made. Since then, the war has never started. Klaus brought peace to his country. But still, despite this fact, many people are very afraid of him because of the cloak he wears. Klaus notices by the look on Anna's face that something is wrong, so he asks her about it. But Anna just refuses, asking if he's having fun, even though she realizes that this question is inappropriate in this situation. Klaus says that Anna has very interesting questions. He tells her that he enjoys spending time with her and that she is the reason he is having so much fun. Klaus does look happy, not like in the beginning. Anna tells him that she is very happy that she can help him in any way, and if he needs anything, he can ask her without hesitation, while Anna herself is embarrassed by Klaus's flattering comments about her. At the same moment, Klaus approaches her, grabs her gently by the chin and says that then, in that case, he'll ask her for something. He puts his arm around Anna's waist, but she says he can ask him for anything but that, as if to hint at intimacy. Still hugging Anna, Klaus lies on the ground, while Anna, who is on top of him, screams that she's going to crush him. But Klaus doesn't seem to care. Lying on his back with Anna on top of him, he notices something and tells her about it. He notices that she is light as a feather and asks her if she is eating enough. Klaus grabs her by the waist and pulls her even closer to him. Anna tells him to stop, but he says it's okay because no one can see it. And as Anna gets closer to him, he hears a squeak from her. He asks her what the squeak is, and they move their lips closer together. Anna is very embarrassed, but Klaus tells her to repeat the squeak. Only this time he tells her to do it louder. A beautiful royal chariot with 2 horses approached a large building that looks like the entrance to another domain or palace. Klaus and Anna are inside. He holds her hands and tells her that he doesn't want to let her go. Klaus looks disappointed that they have to break up for a little while. Anna embraces Klaus and tells him that yesterday was amazing. It's obvious that Anna enjoys being so close to the king, but she blushes with embarrassment. Suddenly, an angry Chancellor Raymond appears. He tells the two that time is up while the young ones hold hands. The Chancellor seems annoyed by this. Klaus tells the Chancellor what he thinks will happen if Anna goes with him, but the Chancellor says it's just an official inspection of neighboring territories. Raymond says they can't let some servant girl go with him because of his whim, because the Lord might take that as Klaus's weakness and then use it against the king himself. Anna ponders his words and realizes that Chancellor Raymond is usually right. But there is one thing that bothers her a great deal. She remembers the very moment when she was sitting by the fountain and Raymond approached her. Then he told her that he thought it would be enough to get rid of the holy maiden. Anna realizes that he doesn't want the curse to be lifted. Suddenly, Klaus grabs Anna's hands again. She is a little surprised by this move on the king's part. Anna tells His Majesty King Klaus that she will wait for him. He seems very upset that they will have to part. The girl tells her king that she will be in the palace the whole time and will do anything for him, suggesting that he at least clean his room. Klaus hugs Anna tightly. He looks very peaceful around her. The king whispers in his maid's ear that he will be back soon. Klaus and the Chancellor got into their chariot and went off to do their business. Anna wished them a happy journey, and in her mind she thought that her ears were about to explode with excitement, and all thanks to him. Anna is back at the palace, happy that she can finally do her job, because all this time she was just sitting with Klaus. Then suddenly someone calls out to Anna. It turns out she was called by Mary. From Anna's own words, we understand that Mary is also a maid and her partner. She is her friend and takes care of her. The girl looks very gentle. The girls begin to talk to each other. Anna asks her friend how she is feeling, to which she immediately asks the same of Anna. It turns out Mary was worried, and very much surprised when she found out that she became His Majesty's personal maid. An embarrassed Anna says she still can't believe she's become His Majesty's personal maid. A pleased Mary says that Anne was originally happy to help His Majesty. She thinks it's very good that nothing has changed. The other maids see Anna and Mary talking to each other. Mary tells her friend that if she needs help, she can call her. Anna is very grateful for her generosity. The other maids are very surprised to see the very same Anna who became the king's personal maid. They tell her that they have always wanted to talk to her, but His Majesty is very intimidating, and it is impossible to get close to her. They ask her how she serves him. They all have a lot of questions. For example, Anna is asked how she is not cursed by being so close to the king. Another servant girl asks what her relationship with him is, and only Mary is completely normal about it. She realizes that only His Majesty came out of the castle, and here we go. Anna answers all the questions at once. She says that Klaus is very kind. Of course, she doesn't deny that there are moments when he presses her, but he is not scary or intimidating as everyone imagines him to be. She says that his curse of darkness doesn't apply to the people around him at all. It's a curse only his burden that doesn't affect others. Suddenly, while all the maids are surrounding Anna, a voice is heard asking what they are all doing, and it turns out to be Chancellor Raymond. He asks Anna if he is right, that while His Majesty is away, she wants to lead the other maids down the wrong path. As usual, the Chancellor is very annoyed. All the maids see Raymond and hurry away, apologizing to him for their idleness, and she is surprised and even frightened. Mary stands up. She apologizes to Chancellor Raymond and says she stopped her. Anna is a little shocked at her friend's behavior. The Chancellor tells the girls to dutifully fulfill their duties, turns and leaves them while they just stare silently at his back. The girl gets very upset because she pissed off Marquis Hilda. She apologizes to Mary, but Mary tells her not to worry. Because Chancellor Raymond Hilda just sees Anna as an obstacle. Because he wants his daughter to be queen, so he sees Anna as an obstacle to his plan. Anna recalls that the Chancellor tried to marry off his daughter in the novel, which is why he wanted to get rid of the Holy Virgin. Anna realizes that he will be considered superfluous only after the Holy Virgin appears in the palace. The girl notices that this is a world of light and darkness, but she cannot understand why the denouement is different from the original. His Majesty has returned to the palace. Anne runs down the corridors to meet the king, but she is not called before His Majesty's return, and she begins to think that it is the Prime Minister who has done her wrong. Klaus walks into the palace. All his subjects bow, greet him, and congratulate him on his return, but he says nothing and walks past them as if saddened. An exasperated Klaus stares straight at Anna, who has come running in like everyone else trying to greet him, but he immediately grabs her by the wrist with a very angry look, and she doesn't understand anything. You can hear the surprise and fear in her voice. Klaus, still holding her wrist, starts to take her somewhere. He opens the door to a room, which is apparently where he and Anna are headed. Suddenly, he walks into that very room and presses her back against the wall while the other servants are asking where Klaus has taken her, and he approaches to face her. His gaze looks crazy. He is sweating and his pupils are red. The girl does not understand what is happening and wonders if it is the curse of darkness that is reflected on him. Klaus starts kissing his maid's neck wetly. He tells her not to move, but she doesn't want to, because it's obvious that Anna also feels aroused by the king's actions. The agitated Anna still has some thoughts in her head. She thinks it might be because they were separated for a day, and maybe the curse has intensified. Anna tries to say something to Klaus, but he doesn't seem to hear her. Anna tries to tell Klaus that there are people at the door, but he's not inclined. And gently touching her face, he says that if she's afraid of being heard, he'll shut her up. They're both very excited, and it looks like something even hotter is coming next. At the door, no one knows what's going on. The maids ask what's wrong, and the Chancellor orders everyone to look for him, while Klaus is still close to Anna and still gently touches her face. Anna realizes what's going on between her and Klaus, and seeing his pressure, thinks they're about to kiss. It seems like they're both waiting for it. But then suddenly Anna turns her head and says she won't do it with Klaus. He looks angry and asks Anna if she'll refuse him because he's her king. Anna realizes that she must obey Klaus and tries to explain to him what is going on. She says that she will not refuse the king, although she looks very frightened. When she hears Anna's answer, Klaus tells her that she must obey his will. There are sounds of knocking at the door. The Chancellor from behind the door asks His Majesty if he is there. The girl understands that it is Mr. Raymond and thinks what to do, because if he sees them, she will be in trouble. But Klaus doesn't even seem to notice that Raymond is outside the door. He slips his hand under Anna's dress. She's very surprised by the king's insistence. He raises his hand higher and higher under Anna's dress, gently touching her thigh. Such pleasure makes it very difficult for Anna to hold back her moans, so she covers her mouth with her palms to avoid making sounds. Still keeping his hand on his maid's thigh, Klaus finally deigns to answer Raymond. He asks him what's wrong that he's looking for him so much. Raymond talks to Klaus about matters of state as usual. This time he says the king needs to make reports, not forgetting to ask him what he's doing with Anna. Klaus says he knows he has a report to file, but he never takes his hand off Anna's thigh for a second, her body giving him pleasure. Raising his hand higher and higher, Klaus puzzles Anna. She doesn't understand why he continues. The girl still clenches her hands over her mouth to keep from moaning suddenly. Klaus whispers something in Anna's ear again, asking her if she wants to see how Raymond will react when he sees her with that look on her face. A highly aroused Anna still holds her mouth with her hands and just keeps silent so that God forbid her moans are not heard, while Klaus seems to be satisfied that he has aroused his maid so much and insists that she responds. After saying that she didn't want Raymond to see her so horny, she threw herself at Klaus and hugged him, but the king looked a little confused by the behavior of his maid. An aroused Anne looks at her king and tells him that she doesn't want anyone but him to see her so aroused, and she also says that she thinks it would be better if they progressed gradually. Anna is in a panic because of her own words. She starts to think about what she said. She doesn't realize what she just said, and she doesn't understand what it is, because Klaus is her idol, and she wants to free him from the curse of darkness. But what is happening now is very disturbing. Klaus, removing his hands as if to stop right now, tells the girl that he's got it all figured out. Apparently satisfied, Klaus will indeed stop. Anna thanks Klaus for stopping. She seems calmer than she was before, and her arousal seems to have diminished a bit. But Klaus can surprise everyone as always. He throws Anna on his shoulder and starts walking with her. And Anna, thinking it's all over, is incredibly surprised by this sudden turn, because Klaus had stopped. And then everything changed so drastically. He comes out with Anna on his shoulder from the room they went into before. Raymond is shocked at what he sees. He is utterly bewildered by this and tells the king to stop. Klaus is adamant in his decision. He still walks on with his maid on his shoulder. Anna begins to wonder what the king's words mean when he told her earlier that he understood everything. It's been a while since it happened, and according to Anna's own account, Klaus has been touching her even more insistently than before. Klaus and his maid are in his office. He's reading something, and Anna asks him if she can do her work, just like before. Klaus repeats his words again, asking Anna how many times he's told her it's her job to be with him. Anna replies that she doesn't have to sit on his lap, but Klaus puts his arm around her and says he's much more relaxed, looking very peaceful around Anna. She tells Klaus that the others are looking at them, meaning the three maids who were nearby looked very surprised at this statement from Anna. All three maids telling Klaus and Anna to ignore them, because if His Majesty is so pleased, it's okay. They look a little embarrassed. Klaus, not having heard the rest of what his subjects had to say, immediately reacts to Anna's embarrassment and tells them to leave immediately, which they do, apologizing for their presence. At that moment, Chancellor Raymond appears. He asks His Majesty why he throws out the maids. Raymond is puzzled by the king's behavior. Raymond glances at the king and sees Klaus, who seems to have no emotion about talking to him, and a very embarrassed Anna. Klaus asks Raymond if he wants something, but the cunning Raymond, as if to change the subject, he says he's thinking how well they're getting on together, and he's also very pleased that the king's health has improved. Klaus says that Chancellor Raymond is right, and I note that all his improvements are due to his maid Anna, who seems surprised by this dialogue between the Chancellor and the king. The girl is trying to figure out what the Chancellor is up to, because from what she's seen, he used to think she was the obstacle to his daughter's marriage to the king. But it's not so easy to fool the king. Klaus asks again what the Chancellor wanted. The Chancellor says he has something he needs to tell in secret. It's about a situation with a neighboring country. We see a map with 2 different states marked on it. The Chancellor informs the king that he wishes to speak to the 2 of them personally about this secret information. The king, as usual, listens to no one and refuses the Chancellor's hint that Anne should leave them. When she hears Klaus say no to the Chancellor's suggestion that she leave, Anna seems shocked because she thinks it's wrong. It's classified information after all. Still on the king's lap, she turns to him and says she wants to make a new tea, to which she gets a reply from Klaus telling her not to worry her head. But Anna insists and says she wants to make new tea after all and asks the king if he'll let her go. Klaus, not very pleased with this pressure, agrees to Anna's request after all and helps her down from his lap, and she gets to her feet. Klaus kisses her hand and tells Anna to come back as soon as possible. Anna is a little embarrassed by Klaus's behavior. She blushes but says she will. Looking at Anna's back, the departing chancellor apologizes to her for disturbing him, with a smile that seems to emphasize his cunning. She replies that it's no big deal, and as she walks through the castle corridors, she wonders what's wrong with the chancellor, since he's been reluctant to help her weaken Klaus's curse in the past. During these reflections, someone comes at Anna from behind and puts some kind of rag to her nose and mouth, inhaling the vapor from which she slowly begins to lose consciousness. The uncomprehending girl falls to the ground next to the silhouette that attacked her. Anna wakes up already with her hands, feet, and mouth bound, in some kind of room that looks like a warehouse. She can't understand where she is, and she doesn't look very well, as if very exhausted. She remembers that she was about to make tea, but then some black silhouette came at her from behind. Only now the girl realizes that she is completely tied up. She is still in a state of affect, and can't understand what happened. The girl tries to make some sounds, but all to no avail. Outside the door of the room where Anna is, two men dressed entirely in black are talking. One of them asks if they're here yet, because there's a threat to other people's lives, to which the other younger man says he'll go and see. The girl hears someone fighting outside the door, someone telling the other person to stop, calling him a fool, and telling him to stay here. Anna realizes that she has heard this dialogue somewhere before. She recalls that she remembered this dialogue from the scene where the Holy Maiden is kidnapped, just as she was kidnapped. She can't understand why this scene. As from the original, did she become a substitute for the Holy Virgin, lying on the floor completely bound? She wonders how a substitute for the Holy Virgin could become a simple servant girl like her. She manages to get on her knees. She still looks very weakened. She realizes that if everything is as in the original, the Prime Minister must be the culprit. She realizes that the trackers are probably somewhere at the back door. Anna tries to understand how the Holy Virgin was able to escape from this situation, although she does not understand how the Holy Virgin did it. But she absolutely understands that she is tied up too tightly and she cannot escape. Anna realizes her powerlessness in front of the situation. She starts crying. She looks very disappointed and of course scared because of all this. She remembers King Klaus kissing her hand the last time they met and telling her to come back as soon as possible. She realizes that tears won't help. She begins to move from side to side while encouraging herself and telling herself to brace herself, for she had promised to return as soon as possible. She starts looking around and now looking for something that might help her get out of this place. High up on the shelves, she notices glass bottles of wine. Provoking one of these bottles to fall off the shelf, on impact with the hard ground, the bottle shatters into glass shards. Anna turns her back on these shards, picks up the largest of them, and tries to cut the rope on her arms using that shard. The girl never thought she'd be in such a situation, emphasizing that it was like it was straight out of the book she loved so much. At last, she manages to cut the rope with which her hands were tied. She is very much pleased at this, but makes no noise. Next thing, she decides to remove the tight bandage from her mouth, and also without making any noise, she realizes she has to hurry up. It's bad timing. The door opens and the two men look on. They realize she's cut the rope and ask her if she really thought she could escape. Taking the remains of a broken bottle in her hands, she points this edged weapon at her captors and tells them to stay back. Unfortunately, she didn't have time to cut her bound feet, and that's why she's still on the floor. The kidnappers consult among themselves and come up with a plan to disarm it. One of them kicks the same shelf from which the bottle fell, and this time, the bottle falls again. At which point, one of the kidnappers grabs Anna by the hair, and with a knife in his hands, says she's just a maid, and an upstart at that. One of them roughly grabs her face and walks closer to her, and says that he was told he could do anything with Anna except kill her. She's scared. Then King Klaus himself opens the door with his foot, sword in hand, and you can tell by the king's actions that he's determined. Still in the doorway, the wardens notice his angry and frantic gaze, and the sword in his hands gleams as if to hint at someone's imminent doom. The kidnappers holding Anna by the hair are shocked to see the king himself in front of them. Anna opens her eyes, and weeping sees Klaus, evil Klaus, telling them to get their filthy hands off his beloved Anna. He calls them devils, and the look on his face makes it clear that someone's about to get hurt. Klaus swings his sword, first striking the oldest of the kidnappers and then, with the same deft move, striking the second, causing the kidnappers to bleed. Anna's kidnappers immediately fell to the ground, while she watches it all. Everything around is stained with blood. The king still hasn't let go of the sword from his hand. He raises his sword arm and points the blade down. He tells the kidnappers they're going to die, and we realize he's about to stab them with his sword. Anna, frightened, tells the evil Klaus not to kill them, but he tells her not to be afraid because he'll wipe out anyone who wants to hurt her. Still on her knees, she wraps her arms around his leg as if to hug him. She tells Klaus that he's not like his father, and adds that he shouldn't lose himself. Weeping, Anna says that Klaus realizes it himself. It's like he's waking up and forgetting his anger and revenge. Falls to his knees and hugs Anna tightly, so tightly that she tells him she can't breathe. Clearly, Klaus was very worried. He apologizes for hugging her so hard. Outside, they are being watched by two other men who ask the king what this is all about. Klaus, sitting next to Anna, tells the two men to tie up the kidnappers because he thinks there is a chance they have allies, and he orders the guards at the palace to be beefed up, and the men comply. The king notices that Anna has been maimed and tells her so, but they don't seem to care, and she says the important thing is that he saved her. Klaus rises a little from the earth, hides Anu under his cloak and tells her not to be afraid of anything. She doesn't really understand what Klaus is doing now. With an exasperated look and red eyes, Klaus takes Anna's hand and tells her that he won't let anyone else touch her. Klaus licks his maid's hand. The cat is blushing again and doesn't understand. He hugs her and says he will protect her now. Anna and Klaus were in his chambers where Klaus was giving first aid to Anna. The girl sitting on the king's lap tells him that it's time for her to work. Klaus bandages her hands, feet, and puts a band-aid on her face. The girl can't understand why her idol treats some servant girl like that. Klaus notices that Anna is a workaholic. He hugs her, kisses her head tenderly, and tells her not to work too hard. The girl blushes again. According to Anna herself, after the incident when she was taken hostage, she was never let out of Mr. Klaus's bedroom. The girl tries to object to the king. The girl says that she can somehow help with the investigation, but the King of Darkness is adamant. The girl tries to change her king's mind as usual, saying that she is a servant after all and should do something, but Klaus asks her if she doesn't like it. He throws her on the bed, stands over her, and she says it's not that she's unhappy that Klaus is so close to her. She blushes again. Klaus tells his maid that as long as she's here, he'll protect her. He licks her hand again and tells the horny girl that now she can't be hurt. He holds her hand and looks at her. Klaus notes that in order to always be protected, she just needs to always be near him. He was right next to her lap. The king starts kissing her feet, but Anna says not this place. But Klaus, as usual, doesn't take no for an answer and says that she belongs to him now. An agitated Anna tries to tell the king that it's not allowed, but her face says the opposite. Klaus still touches her feet, then approaches her and tells her that it is. While on top of her, a horny Klaus tells Anna that he wants more of her and that he misses her. His gaze insane and his desires obvious. Anna begins to ponder what is happening. She thinks maybe the curse of darkness is raging, even though she is always by his side. Why is it that the curse, instead of weakening, only grows stronger and takes over Klaus, whom she loves so much? The girl thinks that if Klaus is not helped by the real Holy Maiden, he will not be saved from the curse of darkness. She closes her eyes and thinks about how she could activate magic like last time. And apparently she succeeds because a blue glow appears around them. Klaus wakes up as if from a dream and his pupils are a normal color. Anna looks at him happily. Klaus realizes it's the Prime Minister and asks him what he wants, and she seems a little scared that Raymond has come again. Raymond apologizes for interrupting Klaus and Anna's rest, but he says that the border chief's messengers have arrived and he has some important information, so he asks Anna to come out. And she realizes that whoever ordered her hostage is Prime Minister Raymond. She remembers the last time she was kidnapped. Anna knows that Prime Minister Raymond was the man who planned her kidnapping, thinks about how to explain to Mr. Klaus that Raymond is involved. Klaus hugs Anna and tells her not to be afraid. Then he asks Anna if she wants peace to reign in this country, to which she replies that of course she does, because if there is peace in the country, people will be happy. She tells him not to lose himself, and she thinks he probably realizes it himself. Klaus thinks about Anna's words and agrees with her. Abruptly, Klaus gets out of bed and says he has to leave for a while. He tells Anna that she can do whatever she wants in the room, but that she must never leave the room, and he asks Anna if she understands. The girl says she understands, but since she's worried about Klaus, she asks him if he's okay, since he's been in so much pain lately. He walks over to Anna and takes her hair in his hand. Klaus says that he's fine, of course, and that he has to go. Anna looks rather embarrassed but wishes him luck. It's evening and Klaus goes back to his room. He opens the door and immediately apologizes to Anna for being late, but he doesn't see anyone in the room, and when he starts calling her and asking where she is, he hears a voice from behind the door that she's there. Furious that he didn't find Anna where he left her in the first place, Klaus slowly walks over to the door. He pulls the handle and says he's going to open it. But from behind the door he hears Anna telling him not to. Turns out it was a bathroom, and out comes Anna, who was showering in towels, and she runs to Klaus and they hug. The king asks Anna if she is all right, to which the girl lowers her head and apologizes for bathing at the royal estates without his permission. And then her eyes sparkled, and she looked at Klaus and tried to say something. When Klaus saw this, she asked him if he understood correctly that she wanted to call him to the bathroom. Klaus watched her reaction intently. The girl was very frightened by the assertion of her king. She hadn't meant for him to make such a suggestion. It turned out she just thought it was better to be clean before he came in. Klaus hugs her and asks if he's right that she's for him. Watching himself while hugging her puts his hand on Anna's buttock. She is very surprised and seemingly excited that Klaus is showing his animal instincts again. But you can see from Klaus's face that he's happy and content. But gently touching her head, Klaus looks at Anna and tells her that they're going to check it out. Klaus and Anna embrace in front of the mirror. The girl is wearing only a light cape. She asks Klaus to let her go, but Klaus whispers in her ear that she called him. Klaus touches her thigh again, slowly but surely moving his hand up her leg. Anna is again aroused by his behavior, but is about to say that she is not going to do it, and then sneezes. Klaus takes his hand off her thigh and she blushes because she sneezed in front of him. She's embarrassed that she sneezed in front of him like that, but she doesn't tell Klaus about it. She's just judging herself in her head. The king lifts her up in his arms, holding the girl by the buttocks with one hand. She is embarrassed and aroused, which makes her blush again. In the king's opinion, she's chilled. And after saying that, Klaus throws Anna on the bed and meaningfully tells her that he's going to warm her up. The young king embraces the half-naked Anne, holding her close to him. He feels the pleasure of being with her and touching her and her body. During the hug, Anna feels that Klaus's body is unusual. It is very warm, and Klaus's lips are right next to her tender shoulders. Anna tells Klaus to stop. She yells for him to stop, and only then does Klaus stop. Anna says she needs to talk to him and puts her hands on his chest so he won't be too fast. Klaus doesn't understand what's going on and asks her what's going on, to which he gets a request to let Anna go. But he doesn't comply and tells her not to be afraid. But she considers telling him in all seriousness that such intimacy is bad for the heart, but decides only to tell him that he must find a holy maiden. Klaus asks which holy maiden we're even talking about, but emphasizes that she said something about one last time. Anna tells King Klaus that she thinks if he has that holy maiden by his side, his curse will be finally lifted. Klaus asks her what she means. Anna says it's hard to explain. In her head, she's adding it up, thinking that she can't just tell him it's in the story. But in reality, she's trying to explain to Klaus who the holy maiden is. But without coming up with anything, she says it's just obvious that she's a saint. Klaus looks at Anna meaningfully and says he's never heard of such a person existing before. Then he puts his hand on Anna's head and says he thinks she's not lying, and there really is a holy virgin. But if this holy virgin has the power to deliver him from the curse of darkness, then this holy virgin is Anna herself. At which point he touches Anna's surprised face. She listens attentively, and then he says this. She's just a lowly maid, not knowing what Klaus is talking about, because she can't be a saint maid. Klaus is very surprised to hear that she's lowly. The girl realizes what she just said and says it doesn't matter, and she can't be a saint maid in any way. Klaus doesn't believe her, because she is the only one who saves him from the curse. Anna doesn't understand why that is so, because she is not a holy virgin. Klaus asks the girl why she thinks that. She tries again to explain her thoughts, but all she can think of is that she thinks that because she read it, but because she can't tell him that. Anna says that she can't explain it, but but she is definitely not a holy maiden and she can't save Klaus, at which Anna blushes and starts to cry. Klaus is touched to the core by the fact that she started crying thinking about him. He hugs her and wipes her tears with his hand. Anna calms down a little, but to calm her down, Klaus kisses her on the scales, but she still cries and says that this way Klaus will suffer for all eternity. Klaus, seeing how concerned she is about his curse, claims that he hasn't told Anna, but he actually knows a more effective way to break his curse. She is very surprised by this statement. Then Klaus touches her face gently, and to top it all off by saying that only she can lift his curse, he asks if he can ask her for something. When Anna hears about it, she says that of course he can ask her to do it. She mentions that she will do whatever she can do. Klaus asks her if she promises to fulfill it, and says that then let her not dare refuse him anymore. Anna wonders, what happens now? Klaus pounces on her like never before. They are both horny, and now the king kisses his beloved without wasting a moment. They both enjoy this moment. Anna is very surprised by Klaus's behavior. As usual, she didn't expect it at all, but she can't say anything either, because his tongue and hers are intertwined in a kiss. They finally finish kissing, Klaus still holding her waist. Anna is embarrassed and says it was her first kiss. In her mind, she realizes it was her first kiss both here and in her past life. Klaus, standing next to her on the bed, says that from now on, Anna will only be with him. They kiss once more. Apparently, Anna likes it as much as Klaus does. Klaus claims that the more he and Anna grow closer, the more the curse weakens. All the action took place on a dark night with a full moon in the castle of the King of Darkness, Klaus, specifically in his sleeping room. Klaus and Anna are kissing passionately again. They are both excited, but then Anna coughs and tells Klaus that she can't breathe. Klaus looks at it all condescendingly and says he told her how to breathe. He gets as close to her as he can and says if she doesn't get it, she'll practice until she does. And the night goes by very quickly. The sun shining through the window and Anna pondering all that was happening. It seemed to her that the distance between them and today, the girl doesn't forget about her direct duties, but Klaus doesn't let her out of the room as usual, and even when she's cleaning, he's next to her, cuddling her, reading some book. Anna tells the king that she needs to go out, but he doesn't understand why she needs to go out. He says he'll bring anything, while kissing her ear. But Anna says that's not the problem. She just thinks her co-workers are worried about her. Klaus insists that she never leaves his estate. He says he's already told everyone that the girl is safe. But even then, Anna tries to get her to leave his room for a minute. Klaus looks at Anna and tells her that he won't let her go anywhere. He tells her that if she wants to, he'll make sure she can't even get out of bed, let alone go anywhere. He starts licking her neck. Anna gets excited and thinks about the fact that when Klaus touches her, she finds it hard to restrain herself. And at this point, I will interrupt my story. And if you want to see what happened between Klaus and Anna, then I ask each of you to subscribe to the channel, rate this video with a thumbs up, and do not forget to write in the comments if you want to see the second part, because I retold only the first part of this manga, and I have the same number of chapters in store for you. Suddenly, the Prime Minister disturbs them at this moment by knocking on the door. Klaus is a little angry at this, and looks towards the door and asks what the Prime Minister wants this time again. While he covers Anna's mouth, she thinks it's lucky that the Prime Minister knocked on the door at this moment. But Klaus tells her that if it's not urgent, he can come back later. The Prime Minister I was expecting outside the door informs the Dark King that this is certainly not exactly a matter of first importance, but it would be much better if he reported it as soon as possible. Hearing this, Klaus heads for the door. I'm talking to the Prime Minister about something. While the girl watches all this, she's very happy that Klaus is feeling fine. But she's rather disturbed that she can't clean anywhere but this room, which she feels is inappropriate for a personal servant of His Majesty's, while Klaus talks to the Prime Minister. She cleans his room. In addition, according to the girl, and her heart will not be able to bear it if His Majesty continues to do such things to her. Obviously, the girl meant all the moments of arousal. When she is near him, these images pop up in her head. She decides to brainstorm, because she thinks she needs to figure out how to get out of this room. Obviously, she wants some privacy, which she doesn't have when she's always with His Majesty Klaus. Then we can find out what we are talking about. The Prime Minister is talking to His Majesty Klaus. The Prime Minister says he needs to introduce someone to the king personally. He says the owner of the Eisner has a message for him. When the girl hears whose owner has news for the king, she immediately guesses that Eisner is the city connecting the port and the capital. According to the plot of the novel she read, the owner of this city was the guardian of the Holy Virgin. The girl realizes that perhaps this man wants to present the Holy Maiden to the king, in the hope that the girl quickly makes what she thinks is the right decision, and calls out to Klaus. She tells the Dark King that she has long wanted to go to Eisner. She crosses her arms and looks at the king so that he cannot refuse. We learn that it is a bustling town that connects to Spoil the capital, and the girl has long wanted to go there at least once to see the beauty that is there. The girl continues to persuade the king to take her with him. She mentions that if he has to go to Eisner, she would like him to let her go with him. He listens attentively to her and ponders. The girl realizes that only the Holy Virgin can completely lift the curse of darkness on Mr. Klaus. She realizes that she needs to pressure the king to get close to the Holy Virgin as soon as possible. Apparently, she wants to go to Eisner with him so badly, because she knows that in the plot of the novel, the owner of the town was her guardian. The girl realizes that her request sounds a little disrespectful, but she has no other choice if she wants to help Klaus break the curse of darkness for good, not just to ease his pain like she did before. Klaus looks at Anna. He says that if it's so important for her to go to this city, he would like to fulfill her wish. Watched by the happy Prime Minister who says it's not a bad idea, the girl is surprised that the Prime Minister is so happy. And her words, apparently this nefarious man has another plan to get Anna out of his way. The Prime Minister says that if Klaus himself comes to the Eisner, the owner will be very happy about it. Klaus himself listens to the words of his Prime Minister and says that he did not say anything about going to the town himself. But the Prime Minister keeps pushing Klaus. He mentions that if people know he's out of town, the people at the palace can relax a bit too, making it easier to find who was responsible for the Anna hostage incident. After hearing this, Klaus thinks over the words of the Prime Minister. Obviously, he is very important to find out who was behind the kidnapping of his beloved. The girl, in turn, is very surprised that the Prime Minister will insist that they go personally to the Eisner. Thinking about what's going on, Anna thinks it might be another trap set by the Prime Minister to capture her. But she doesn't care, because in her opinion there's no new way to find out about the Holy Virgin. But Anna realizes that if she misses this chance, she'll never get out of here. So she pulls Klaus. I turn to him and beg him to go to this town together, asking his permission to do so. Klaus looks at the girl and says it's okay. He's thought it over. He looks at her and says it's the first time she's ever asked for something so capriciously. It may look a little childish on his part, but we understand the true reasons for the girl's behavior. She immediately lowers her head, bowing slightly to the class, and begins to apologize for her behavior. But the king says she doesn't need to apologize. He gently touches her face and says that instead of apologizing, he would like to hear her desire more often. The girl is excited again. Klaus looks at the girl and says that he will fulfill her caprice, but there is one condition she must fulfill in return for her request. Dear friends, and if you want to know the title of this manga, then be sure to watch the video to the end, because at the end I will tell the title. Also, if you want to speed up the release of the next part, be sure to put likes on this video clip, share it with friends, and then when under this video clip will accumulate 5.000 likes or 30.000 views, I will start work on the next part. We learn that the very condition that the girl must follow in return for her request is that she must not leave Klaus. She can do anything but not leave him, no matter what. Klaus looks at the Prime Minister and says that he must have figured it out, but of course he guessed everything. He said that he had figured it out, and that he would prepare everything for their trip to Eisner right away. The girl is still worried about Klaus's health. Her main goal is to meet with the Holy Maiden. She thinks that if she meets with her, she will be able to lift the curse of darkness that hangs over the king. Anna is in her room where she lived before, packing her personal belongings into a suitcase. Her friend comes up to her from behind and asks her if everything is okay. Anna doesn't understand what her friend is worried about, but her friend recalls that she was forever locked in His Majesty's room after the hostage-taking incident. The girl says she was very worried about her friend, thinking she might have been punished for it somehow. Anna is very surprised that the girl thought she might have been punished in some way. She says that of course nothing like that has happened to her, and she's perfectly fine. apologizing for making her friend worry about her somehow. The girl still does not get out of her head that she must do everything possible to help Klaus meet the Holy Maiden. She realizes that if Mr. Klaus meets the Holy Maiden, the course of the plot of the novel will return to the place. She tells her friend that she'll bring her back some souvenirs, so let them wait for her return. The Prime Minister has already arranged for the carriage to go straight to the exit of the castle. Klaus holds out his hand to Anna to help her get into the carriage. You can see that the guy is really in love with her, and on top of that, he is a real gentleman. After she got into the carriage, she thanked him for his care and help. The carriage rushes to the town of Eisner. The girl is thrilled that her idol is accompanying her. But suddenly she realizes that it is very strange that she, the secondary maid, is being treated like this. She again a little excitedly realizes that similar people from the palace, already used to the strange relationship of the girl with His Majesty, and to their unclear personal boundaries, which obviously just do not exist, because they are always together. She thinks that the people of Eisner will be surprised by their strange relationship, and if the Holy Virgin gets it wrong, her relationship with Mr. Klaus may be broken. This obviously worries the girl a little, but she still understands that they must go to this town for Klaus to finally meet with the Holy Virgin. Klaus notices that Anna is agitated about something and asks her about it. The girl pretends that nothing is happening, but Klaus asks her why she is sitting there and not next to him. He suddenly grabs the girl and moves her onto his lap, reminding her that he told her to always be by his side. The girl is very surprised by this abrupt action of the king, and again gets a little excited, as well as Klaus himself, whose head is as close to the girl's head as possible, so much so that they seem to be kissing again. She replies to King Klaus that she thought that standing across from him, she would be close enough to him, while obviously from overexcitement, the girl seemed embarrassed and blushed. Klaus gently touches the girl and kisses her on the forehead, which excites her even more. But the King of Darkness reminds her that if he touches the girl, he feels much better and does not feel the pain that usually accompanies him everywhere. He whispers it all in the girl's ear, which has an even greater effect on her and makes her hornier again. Klaus reminds her that she knows that he feels better when he touches her. As Klaus gently holds Anna's head, she thinks about what to do. And almost the moment before their kiss, she realizes that there are other people outside the carriage and pushes Klaus away from her a little. Klaus looks at his beloved in bewilderment and asks, "What's the big deal if there are people outside the carriage?" But the girl mentions that they're not in the palace now, and she promised to be there for him, so she'll do as she promised. Obviously a hint from the girl that she promised to be there for Klaus, but didn't promise to have any ties with him. The girl tells Klaus to treat him like a servant and a king. Klaus is shocked by her words. Obviously, he didn't expect that from the girl. Then he gets close to her face again. The girl is horny again. He tells her that since she wants to have a relationship with him that is more like an office relationship, she should give him something in return. He touches her lips gently with his fingers while Anna thinks over his words. But then the king remarks that it would not be very fair if he only listened to her requests. The girl thinks not to ask him what she should do in return, but Klaus still touches her lips gently and says that she should just relax, looking at the girl. He says that he's not asking her to do anything difficult, and she should just kiss him first. The girl is aroused. I am again very surprised by his proposal, but we realized that Klaus can ask her just that. She tells him that she cannot do what he asked, but Klaus, as if not listening to her, starts kissing the girl, and she does not really resist. The girl realizes that if she is kissed, she is already embarrassed enough. She realizes that she has to push it away somehow, and when she succeeds in doing so, the indignant Klaus tells her that then he will not do her bidding. The girl thinks about his words. She doesn't know what to do in this situation because it might not work out. All the while, Klaus is looking at her in love and excitement, tapping his finger on his beard. He asks her what she has decided. The girl realizes that she may not have another chance and thinks that if she has to do it, she is ready to do it. Then she puts her hands on Klaus's shoulders and brings her head and lips to his lips. She blushes again, and Klaus expects exactly that. As the carriage rushes towards the city they were heading towards, the girl's lips are incredibly close to Klaus's, but suddenly the king turns his head and the girl kisses him on the cheek. Obviously, it wasn't his decision. It was the girl who turned his head with her own hands. Klaus looks at her in bewilderment, because he wasn't expecting that at all. The blushing girl looks up at him and opens her eyes. Klaus doesn't look that disappointed, and mentions that the kiss was very sweet. But it wasn't what he was expecting. He looks at the girl with displeasure. His face shows that although he appreciated the fact that she kissed him, it wasn't enough, which the king tells the girl, saying that it wasn't enough. It's obvious that Anna knew what he wanted from the beginning, but at the last moment she was shy. Anna looks at Klaus and pretends to be surprised that it wasn't enough. She remarks that she tried very hard. The girl is red in the face. We learn that the journey to the city they are headed to takes about 5 days. Klaus again gently takes the girl by the head. He says that he agrees to their arrival at the stage of relationship, which the girl called the relationship between the king and the maid. But during the trip, she will have to satisfy him in time. The girl is again confused by his words, not realizing that with his logic you see the main intention of the girl was that their relationship would finally go back to normal. She realizes that for so long she won't put up with it. 5 days passed very quickly. King and Anna finally arrive in the city, the girl looking at everyone around, marveling at the beauty of the city, specifying whether or not this city is the one. She thinks she's finally here to meet the holy maiden who can help the King of Darkness rid himself of his curse. Klaus asks her what her impressions are after arriving in this beautiful town. The girl, looking at Klaus, says that the Eisner is more alive than she thought. Obviously, the girl meant the number of people who are in town. She understands why this city seems livelier to her. She thinks it's because it connects the capital and the port, and because of that, there are more people here than in other cities. Looking around, she mentions that there are a lot of merchants and a thriving hotel business here. She asks Klaus if he's often been here secretly. She says she imagines Klaus in camouflage, and how handsome he is in camouflage. She'd take 1,000,000 pictures of him. But Klaus says he hasn't been here much. He mentions that he has a girl with him today, so this time is more special for him than the previous ones. Walking through the city, the girl, a little embarrassed, thanks Klaus for honoring her, but says that before they go to the feudal lord's mansion, she would like him to invite her to have a quiet look at the city. While walking along the streets of Eisner, the girl notices that other girls and women are looking at Klaus. She realizes that everyone is staring at him and asks you if they stand out so much among the general mass that lives here. The main character hears some girls talking to each other about Klaus. They praise him, saying that he looks very cool. She is happy for the girls, realizing that they have good taste, because Klaus is her idol, because he really is so cool. It's like she doesn't have enough words to describe how much she likes Klaus. Suddenly, unexpectedly, Klaus clicks a well that does not understand anything. But at the same moment, Klaus grabs her hand. The girl is very much surprised, but the king notices that immediately one walks through the city, then she should enjoy it to the full. Klaus starts pulling the girl along. She doesn't know what's going on, but realizes that she's holding hands with the king. Yeah, and who looks so cool that the girls around him immediately pay attention to him. She realizes that they stand out even more. Klaus looks behind her and tells the girl not to worry about anything. No one here thinks he's the king, and in the 5 days she hasn't satisfied him enough. He whispers in her ear and says he thinks she'll be okay with that kind of touching. The girl responds positively to Klaus. But another girl is watching from the sidelines, looking embittered at everything she sees. Some shopkeeper shouts, "Welcome to our heroes," and claims that everything she sells is pretty fresh. Apparently, Klaus bought some kind of treat for his lover, but decided to try it first. They look at other things that are sold in the shop. Some of them they don't understand. Suddenly, the girl calls out to Klaus and shows him a finger in one of the sides and says there is something there. Klaus squints his eyes and looks into the distance, trying to see what's out there, and says that the girl is right after all. She looks at some flower and immediately notes in her head that this flower is the color of Mr. Klaus's eyes, and it is incredibly beautiful. Klaus comes up behind the girl and takes this in his hand. It turns out to be a piece of jewelry for the girl. In the middle of the flower there is some shiny stone, and Klaus puts it on the girl's head and says it fits her. Looking at the seller, they say they're taking it. The seller seems startled to thank them for buying it. The girl looks at this jewelry and tells Klaus that she can't accept it, and the whole point is how many zeros are in its price. This jewelry costs $600,000. Klaus mentions that he would like to give it to his beloved, but the girl tries to object to him. He looks at her as if angry and asks her if she likes it or not. The girl sees Klaus's reaction and makes the right decision and says she'll accept his gift gladly. Klaus is happy about it. He gently takes the girl from behind and tries on the jewelry until she realizes, again confused, that it's a gift from her idol. And what is the right thing to do in this situation? Suddenly, from around the corner, the girl who had been watching the main characters jumps right at them. Klaus, seeing the danger, takes the girl and holds her close to him. The girl who tried to jump on them misses and falls to the ground. Obviously, her plan failed. She starts apologizing to Anna and Klaus, realizing that she was a bit hasty. The girl kneeling on her knees, looking at everything that was going on. Klaus, with one hand hiding well behind his back, and all the guards were already gathered around them. Even Anna was slightly surprised at how only guards appeared around them. An angry Klaus looks at the girl and tells his guards to detain her immediately, while Anna tries to justify the girl by saying that maybe she shouldn't be detained, because in her opinion, she just accidentally bumped into them. Anna is very worried about the girl and asks her if she's okay, while Klaus looks at her either contemptuously or angrily. Suddenly, the girl who attacked them raises her head. She replies to the protagonist that she's fine. But at that moment, the protagonist is very surprised to realize that this girl is the one she's been looking for. By the image from the very book that Anna read, we can understand from the face that this girl is the holy maiden who can help the King of Darkness. They look identical with one exception. The girl from the book looks happier than the one standing on the floor surrounded by guards. Anna, who is still surprised at who she met, looks at the girl and asks her what her name is. The pretty girl who is still standing surrounded by guards says her name is Helena Lorenz, mentioning that she lives with the owner of the town. Anna looks at her again and once again is convinced that it is her. The girl is Saint Helena from the novel. Anna did not expect to meet her so quickly. Klaus is not so optimistic and asks her what she's doing here, standing on the floor. Elena says she was shopping for groceries, but suddenly, the unexpected happens. It turns out that some strange men started hitting on Elena. There were two of them, and the girl was alone. Obviously, she was very scared that something terrible might happen to her. Anna comes up to her and is very surprised by her story, asking if she was running away from the intruders. The girl confirms this version and adds that she was very much frightened, because of which she ran away. Looking at the protagonists, she apologizes to them. Anna looks at Elena and says that it's no big deal that she ran into them, and says that since her story worked out that way, she can walk Elena home with Klaus. Klaus and Elena looks at each other. Elena is very surprised that the girl is so merciful to her and mentions not to do anything like that. King Klaus himself is not thrilled with Anna's proposal either. He emphasizes that they do not have to go together and he can simply order his knights to escort the girl home and guard her during the whole journey. Anna blushes as she realizes that her plan might go awry. She thinks about what to say. The girl obviously realizes that if she says that they should definitely walk Elena home, it would be too pushy on her part. She imagines in her head a picture of Klaus cuddling with Elena. She realizes that they are finally closer to breaking the curse, although the meeting is radically different from the original that was described in the novel she read in a previous life. But Anna found a way to walk the girl home and not insist too much. She reminds Klaus that they were also going to go to the owner of the city. Even Elena is very surprised by this fact. I ask the girl if it's true. Very happy and says it's really so. She reminds him that, as they say, when traveling, new acquaintances are gold. Klaus looks at the girl angrily and says it's the first time he's heard that. The girl, of course, realizes that Klaus hasn't heard of such a thing, because it's just her imagination. But to get her king to walk her home, she says she's still worried about Elena, especially after her story. She yanks Klaus again, and making a very cute face, asks him to walk the girl home. Klaus, like last time, hesitates before making a final decision. Obviously, he doesn't really want to walk the girl home. But still, Anna's persistence played a role. He, as in the last time, agrees to fulfill the girl's wish. The protagonist herself is very happy about this fact. King Klaus points his finger at Elena. and says that he is allowing her to go with them. Klaus immediately orders him to bring him a carriage and send a messenger to the owner, his dreaded obey. Anna obviously feels embarrassed that Klaus is doing her bidding again. She looks down at the ground a little and apologizes to him for having to change his plans and her whims again. Klaus raises his hand and looks meaningfully in the girl's direction. Anna closes one eye, obviously expecting Klaus to punch her in the face, but instead Klaus just gently touches her head and asks her if she liked the town. The girl responds positively because she has wanted to come to this town for so long. Klaus says that's great. He still gently touches the girl's face, which is blushing. He lifts her head with one hand and tells her to be even higher. He again seems to want to kiss her while Elena is watching from the side. Anna looks excited. Elena is standing right in front of Klaus and Anna. She thought they would finally meet and things would get better, but she realizes that the situation in the carriage could be better. Klaus doesn't pay any attention to Elena. He just hugs Anna and looks out the window. In Friend, Elena has something to say. She immediately reacts to it and asks her, "What's wrong?" But Elena just wonders who they are to each other, mentioning that they are very friendly with each other. Anna blushes, and Klaus looks at the girl with displeasure. Suddenly she starts asking Klaus to let her go, and Elena hears that Anna called Klaus. As the king is very much surprised by this, Anna apologizes to the girl for not introducing herself earlier. But Klaus is just surprised that Anna called him Your Majesty. I ask her if she wants to call him by his first name anymore, and Klaus smells her hair, but she mentions that they're done walking around town. Klaus immediately wraps his arms around the girl from behind and says she's just a silly girl. Anna blushes, but Klaus whispers in her ear that he wants her to call him by his first name all the time. But she removes Klaus's hand and says they should introduce themselves first. Klaus coldly raises his hand and doesn't even say his name. Anna tells Elena that His Majesty King Klaus Achim Wormstedt is sitting in front of her, and she introduces herself very modestly, calling herself the king's personal maid named Anna Revell. Elena is a little shy. She is surprised that the girl is a servant of King Klaus, but Anna does not take her eyes off her. She is surprised at how beautiful she is, and what a nice smile she has. She thinks that maybe even Mr. Klaus is looking at her. Both girls are embarrassed and blushing. Suddenly, Klaus grabs Anna by the shoulders while looking at Elena. Anna doesn't fully understand what's going on. She tries to ask Klaus what he's doing, but she doesn't have time to finish her thought. The carriage is still rushing at full speed towards its destination, and she still can't understand what Mr. Klaus is doing. She understands that she can't let the Holy Virgin misunderstand her. Obviously, the girl is worried about what Elena will think about their relationship. Klaus looks at Elena and says that, and do not forget that he allowed her to sit in his carriage, only because Anna wished so. Elena is very surprised by such a sharp attack in her direction. She agrees with what he said, and shaking with fear bows her head before King Klaus. Anna, in turn, is very surprised by the words of the king. She realizes that Klaus and Elena was supposed to be attracted to each other, like it was fate. She doesn't understand what's going on, but the thought crosses her mind that maybe it's because they didn't meet the way they did in the book, and because of that, maybe it didn't work out. Klaus stares pompously down at Elena while she looks down at the floor, still hugging Anna, who is very confused and realizes that she needs to do something to get things back on track. Klaus's carriage finally reaches the owner of Eisner Town. The owner personally meets him and thanks him for the king personally deciding to visit them. Anna at this time looks around and notices how big the town owner's house is. She is surprised by this. The owner of the city, as well as everyone, lowers his head before the king and mentions that it is a great honor for him to invite the king to his residence. Also together with him, lowered his head his son and his wife, who together with him met the king. The owner of the town decides to introduce them to the king. He says that the boy's name is Otis, and he is his son, and the woman's name is Kara, and she is his wife. Klaus didn't even seem interested in what he was saying, but he says that in that case they'll introduce themselves too. At one point, suddenly Klaus grabs Anna by the waist. The girl is very much surprised by this, for she in no way expected Klaus to grasp her by the waist, at which point the king, as if to embrace the girl, introduces her as his attendant, whose name is Anna. He notes that the owner of the city should give her the greatest possible hospitality. The girl is naturally embarrassed by this behavior. She tries to justify herself. The girl blushes. She tells the owner of the town that she wants nothing and no hospitality, for she is only Mr. Claus's personal servant, and she asks the king to let her go. Klaus suddenly looks at the girl with an angry look, and it's clear that this is not a good thing, saying that it's exactly as Klaus said, the town owner looking at her, emphasizing that it looks like they've saved Elena. Klaus does confirm the fact that he and Anna rescued Lena, and Elena adds that they drove her in a carriage to this place. Apparently, Elena is really dear to the family of the owner of this town. The wife of the owner of the city came up to Elena and gently touched her hand and said that she was very happy that the girl was okay. Also, her son came up to her and mentioned that they were very worried about her. Elena cried a little and apologized to Otis and thanked him for worrying about the girl. The guy blushes, and then we realize that he is apparently in love with the girl. He thinks a little about her gratitude and mentions again that it's good that she's okay. But Klaus, still looking at it all with his cold gaze, mentions that Elena was saved not by him, but by his escort Anna. The girl was very surprised at this turn of events, and her face immediately changed to a more surprised one. Anna tries to say that she did not do anything special, but she is already blushing because of so much attention to her. She realizes that she needs to somehow build a dialogue with the Holy Maiden, and then she gets an idea of how to do it. The girl immediately begins to implement her plan. Looking at Elena, Anna asks her why she lives with the feudal lord. Then the owner of the city gets into the conversation and realizes that the girls have not explained anything about Elena. He points his hand at Elena and asks her to introduce herself to his guests. The girl says her name is Elena Lorenz, and then we find out that she is the owner of Holy Magic. Anna is once again convinced that this girl is the one she has been looking for so long, and Klaus finally pays attention to her and is very surprised that she has the ability to possess holy magic. Klaus, to make sure that he understands everything correctly, asks if she really has holy magic, to which he gets a positive answer. The town owner says that there is no other way to call this power, because with this magic, Elena was able to heal his son's wounds. Finally, we realize that all this time Anna was right in her guesses. The protagonist herself realizes that this is the same episode as in the novel. It seems that the course of the story has become the same. The protagonist realizes that now the holy magic of Elena will be able not only to cure the sorrow of his majesty, but also to fully remove from him the curse of darkness that he so hindered all these years. Elena comes to Klaus and crosses her arms and says that she wants this power to be useful for him. She asks Klaus to give her a chance to prove herself. Klaus still looks at her coldly and says that he doesn't need anything from her. It is clear that the King of Darkness is a bit skeptical of all the girl's powers. But as soon as Anna heard those words, she immediately became more cheerful and said that it was a wonderful offer. She had asked Klaus very much that they take her. Just then, Klaus turns to Anna, his gaze still as cold as before. She realizes she's been pushing too hard for this. They both hesitate. Only Klaus tries to tell Anna that she's been pushing too hard for what she wants. As Elena tells him that there are actually some conditions that need to be met before she can use the holy magic she possesses, Klaus looks at her in bewilderment because he's been talking to someone else and she's jumping into the conversation. But Elena begins to name the very conditions that must be met in order to use her magic. We learn that the first condition for her magic to work is that her magician's heart must communicate with the heart of the person on whom the magic is to be cast. And we see a picture of her looking Klaus straight in the eye. They look very happy, as if everything had worked out between them as it was in the story of the novel. The second condition is that to use magic to break the curse can only be used on the night of the full moon. So to use magic on Klaus Gay will have to be with them. The main character is very happy to see this. She is delighted with Elena. She realizes that now on her voices are happening exactly the same thing that was in the original novel. The girl realizes that if you rely on Elena, everything can be solved very quickly, and finally the curse from Mr. Klaus will be with her forever. But all Elena's words couldn't convince Klaus. He says that he doesn't want any girl. Hearing this, Anna is incredibly surprised by Mr. Klaus's words. She immediately decides to ask her king why he rejects the offer. But he reaches out and gently touches her face and says it's because he misses her. Of course, meaning Anna, with a dumbfounded Elena watching from the sidelines at Klaus's moves on Anna. Anna turns like a volcano. She doesn't understand how Klaus can miss her, and she adds that she can't fully lift the curse of darkness from him. But Klaus is sure that the girl can do it, and says that she can't do it for the time being, hinting that in the future the girl will probably be able to lift the curse from him. Anna is very surprised by such pressure from Klaus, and says that she definitely can't, and only Elena can do it, because she has holy powers. The protagonist, because of reading the novel in the original, realizes that only the Holy Virgin can break the curse. So pointing her hand at Elena, she says that it would be better if Klaus takes Elena. The girl insists on it, and directly begs him to do it. At that moment, Klaus suddenly grabs the girl's face again. She didn't expect it as usual, but he comes closer and looks her straight in the eyes and asks her if she knows what it means. The girl is again confused by his behavior. Anna doesn't pay attention to what he's doing. She points out that breaking the curse of darkness is more important than anything else. We understand that this is a priority for the girl. Klaus takes his hand off her face, and after some thought agrees with her, and says that they will stay here until the next full moon. He's not ready to give more time for the girl to break the curse. Anna is very happy that Klaus has agreed to stay here until the next full moon, while Klaus looks at the owner of the town and asks him if he is okay with them staying here, to which he says of course he is okay with it. Elena comes up to Klaus and hugs him, and says that she is very happy, that she can't wait for them to meet again. When her hand touches Klaus, some unusual purple glow appears. Anna looks at it all, and doesn't fully understand what is happening. Suddenly, Anna feels some strange pain in her chest, but she does not understand where it came from. The girl assumes that she must have imagined it. She still looks very happy because finally the king will be cured of his curse. She wonders if he can finally free Klaus from the Mook curse, and she has nothing more to worry about. And now she needs to support them so that her holy healing magic can finally work on King Klaus. She thought it was the only thing a maid like her could do for the king at the moment. Elena held Klaus's hand, and then Klaus turned and looked at Anna with a slightly disgruntled look. It's the second day they arrive here. Walking through the corridors, Elena notices the king and Anna walking not far from her. She calls out to the king and says she's very happy to see them. Anna also looks happy to see Elena. Elena asks Klaus and Anna if they would like some tea because their subjects have made it especially for them, and it is quite tasty in her opinion. Also, a slightly embarrassed Elena adds that she made some cookies. We learn that she baked them herself. Clavis tries to say that he shook and will refuse, but a happy Anna is surprised that the girl made homemade cookies. Anna immediately tells Elena that of course I don't have to taste what she made for them. But again, a confused Elena says that she's never tried baking before, so she's a little nervous about them tasting her creation. Anna asks the girl if she made these cookies especially for Mr. Klaus. During the whole conversation, Klaus looks as cold as before. Elena, a little embarrassed by Anna's question, as if stammering and not knowing what to say, says that it's true, and she baked these cookies especially for the king. Anna, looking at Elena, is surprised at how cute she is. She even a little jealous of the prince that he met such a charming girl. But in principle, the girl realizes that happens exactly what I expected from the protagonist of the novel. Elena realizes that she forgot to invite Ank to the tea party, and says that if she wants, she can join them. But the winking girl says that unfortunately she can't, because she has a lot of things to do. And besides, they should be alone for a while. She asks Elena what she thinks about it. A surprised Klaus looks at Anna. He doesn't quite understand what she's trying to accomplish, but Elena realizes the main character's train of thought and thanks her for leaving her and Klaus alone together. Elena grabs Klaus by the arm again and asks him to come with her, apparently specifically so that he can eat the cookies and tea she has prepared. Klaus still stares at the situation sullenly and turns to look at Anna. At this time, Anna looks at their backs and looks very happy. From this moment, she tried her best to bring Mr. Klaus and the Holy Maiden together. She gave Elena a seat to sit next to Klaus. When they played chess with Klaus, she brought them tea. Klaus is still not happy with everything that is going on. It's like he is distrustful of his new acquaintance. Another day has passed in a similar vein. Anna, who is walking the corridors of the manor where they are staying with Klaus, is thinking about what she should do today. She thinks that she should probably stay out of Elena's relationship with Klaus. She thinks they're already close enough for each other. Suddenly, someone comes up behind her, while she's still strolling the corridors uncomplicatedly. Suddenly, the man who was walking behind the girl suddenly grabs her from behind and covers her mouth with one hand so she can't scream. He drags her behind one of the columns that was in the corridor. The girl still can't understand who it is. Suddenly, we find out that this man is King Klaus himself. He tells the girl to be quiet, but she can't understand what Klaus is up to. He is still hugging her from behind as if sniffing her hair. The girl is either excited or scared. She asks the king what's going on with him, to which he gently whispers in her ear that he misses her. The girl seems disappointed by this, and she doesn't understand what's going on, and why the curse has only gotten stronger instead of weaker as expected. Klaus is still hugging the girl from behind, as if he wants to kiss her neck, but she slaps his arm twice, telling him that he could strangle her like that. Obviously, the girl is a little turned on, but she wants something else, to break the curse that has been attached to Klaus for so long. Klaus videos that the girl is rejecting him again. He asks why she's avoiding him so much. He thinks he's disgusted with her, but the girl says he's not. He's just getting worse. So she has to call the holy maiden Elena right away. Klaus is incredibly annoyed that the girl is calling on Elena's powers again. He immediately puts her back against the pillar and angrily asks her if she really didn't understand what he really wants. His eyes are red again. Apparently, Klaus has been overcome by the curse. The girl is a little frightened by the king's rude behavior. She tries to tell him not to do it, that he can't do it. But Klaus just tells her to shut up, because he obviously didn't come here for her to talk him out of it. At the same moment, Klaus approaches the girl and kisses her. She tries to say that they can't do that, but she's so horny she can only think about it. After they're done, Klaus looks straight into her eyes. They're both horny and just stare at each other in silence as if thinking about something. Even though the girl realizes that they can't do anything like that, she can't understand why she likes it so much and why it gives her such pleasure. Anna and Klaus start kissing again. The girl realizes that she can't even think about it, but she can't do anything against the king's will and against her own wishes too. Suddenly, Elena appears in the same place, and she hides behind one of the columns, and seeing what's going on, she looks at them angrily. And her look is very angry. She looks like a good girl and a holy virgin. She's overcome by envy. Anna and Klaus are still kissing. After they are done, she turns her head sharply away from Klaus and says they can't do that again. Klaus looks at her and asks if the girl is going to say they can't do that again. A still excited Anna reminds Klaus that she's already told him that she can't break his curse, but that St. Helen can definitely help him with that. She also mentions that in order for the holy magic to work on the king, Elena has to be asked to help them. But Klaus again gently touches Anna's face and asks what she's up to with her holy magic. Obviously, he doesn't care about that right now. He asks the girl if she doesn't want it, because he doesn't hold her back. The girl is very surprised by what the king says, but Klaus suddenly realizes something and tells the girl that he noticed that she obviously wants something more. Anna tries to object, saying that she never thought he would think of such a thing. It turns out that from the moment Anna had the past life memories, the memories of the book she read, she's been thinking about it all. She's had nothing else on her mind. She's not interested in anything else. That's why she's against it. She emphasizes that she's doing all this for Klaus and is doing it for him, asking why he's doing it. Doesn't he want to be cured of his disease? But Klaus, who looks disappointed, says he wants to be cured of his disease, but he just thinks she doesn't understand him. Klaus grabs the girl's face again and lifts it up. She ponders on, does she really have to want something more? She can't understand why it has to be this way. But she has become what she wanted to be, and she wanted to be Mr. Klaus's maid. But she realizes that her ultimate goal is to help Klaus get rid of the evil charms. And if she wanted something else, it would be different. And the king wouldn't even want her here. And that's why, if there was a holy virgin who could end the dark curse once and for all, she wouldn't want anything else. That's probably why the girl got something in her chest, because she would lose her only incentive and purpose in life. But the girl only thought about it. And when Klaus asked her a question, she just didn't say anything. Klaus, seeing that she didn't answer, pounded his fist on the pillar and asked her to make up her mind quickly. He was furious. And then when the girl tries to answer him, he starts kissing her again. They kiss again. which, just like last time, the girl could not expect from Mr. Klaus. After they finished, he turned and left. Anna sat down next to the column, and her heart was pounding very loudly, so loudly that she could hear it. She was still as excited as possible, and thinking about Klaus's words, she realized that he wanted her to make up her mind. But what she still didn't understand was this. Elena walks up to Anna. She wryly remarks that she and Klaus are getting along well. Anna turns around and sees Elena, and is startled to see her there. The girl can't figure out if Elena saw what Klaus was doing to her, and if she did, what she would do in a situation like this. She decided that the right way to get out of it would be to justify herself. She stands up and looks at Elena and says it's not what she would have thought, and even swears to it. Anna says she'd call it first aid. Elena smirks and tells the girl that she thought Anna understood everything, so she didn't let on. But now she's decided to tell her something very important. Anna doesn't understand what she's talking about and asks Elena what she wanted to tell her. Elena comes even closer to Anna, tells her that she interferes with her. Elena looks absolutely crazy, and Anna is very confused. The main character is not surprised by Elena's words, but she says that Anna herself understands everything. In her opinion, sooner or later Klaus will have to choose someone. This person will be Elena, and we can notice that behind Elena's back, there is a knife in her hands. Anna again tries to say something to Elena, but the cunning girl suddenly pulls a knife from her back, and raising it above Anna says that she asks all the maids to leave the room immediately. In Anna's eyes you can see immeasurable fear, which the girl has never experienced before. Elena tries to stab her with the knife, but suddenly with her own knife she hurts her hand. Her hand is bloody as well as the knife. She cannot understand what happened, and all this is watched by the still frightened and perplexed protagonist. Anna looks at the cut on Elena's hand and asks herself why she hurt her hand in the other. Lena again raises the knife and apparently wants to stab herself again, but Anna at that moment snatches the knife from the girl and asks what she is doing. Elena turns her head to the side, thinking that she didn't realize it would be so easy. Apparently, it's another cunning plan that's been hatched against the protagonist. Then Elena turns to Anna and tells her that she is really the main character. Anna is very surprised by the girl's words. Suddenly, the son of the city owner, Otis, appears out of nowhere with his guards. He immediately asks what happened to Elena. Anna is still watching all of this and is glad that someone is here to help her. Elena looks around and calls Otis over to her, and he immediately comes over to her. He wants to pick her up and asks what her wound is. The wily Elena says she wanted to say hello to Anna, and she suddenly jumped on with this knife, with the girl crying and playing the victim, Anna. Hearing this fictitious story of Elena is very much surprised by her words and says that all this is not true. At the same time, she drops a bloody knife from her hands, which was wounded Elena. It falls on the floor and notices Otis. He is very indignant at this behavior on the part of the maid and asks her how she even dared to attack Elena, while Elena, who is supposedly crying into his shoulders, looks at the protagonist and smirks, and Otis in turn orders the guards to arrest the girl immediately. Anna is very scared and doesn't know what to do. She's about to be taken away by the guards, and she hasn't even done anything. She's lazy. After all, we know that Elena hurt herself. At the same time, the guards obey Otis's order. Anna is frightened, and Otis at the same time tells Elena that everything will be fine, because he is with her. Then the wife of the city owner appears with one of the maids, and seeing that Elena's hand is bloody asks who did this to her. She and the maid are obviously very frightened and concerned about Elena's health. Otis points his finger at Anna and says, "She did it." The protagonist tries to justify herself and says she didn't do it, but a furious Otis asks her how dare she lie. He says he knew she would be jealous of Elena. After all, she's the one King Klaus chose. He grabs the protagonist roughly by the clothes and pulls her to him and says she's just a villain, and she says she's not, and asks him to believe her. But he tells everyone to look at the knife that is bloody and lying on the floor, claiming that it is evidence and proves that the girl is guilty. She is still trying to justify herself somehow. But then a voice is heard as someone says, "Get your hands off her." It turns out it was Klaus who came to the noise and saw what was going on. Otis turned to him, still holding the girl by her clothes. Anna trying to tell him she didn't do it. Well, angry Klaus looking at everything going on, asks Otis if he is deaf, because Klaus told him to take his hands off Anna. You can see in his eyes that he seems to be possessed by the dark curse anew. At the same moment, a frightened Otis lets the girl go. He says he has found out everything. Klaus claims that they accuse his maid without any arguments or witnesses. He says he is very hopeful about the judges. The mother and son are very surprised by this pressure and King Klaus's words. Elena, who was still on the floor, says it's all her fault, and touching Klaus asks him not to be angry at what's going on. She again looks very innocent, as if she hadn't cut herself with a knife before. But an angry Klaus looks at her and orders her not to touch him. Elena is incredibly surprised that Klaus would do that. She's silent in surprise. The guards, who had been holding Anna by Otis's order, let her go, and she falls to the ground, at which point Klaus comes up to her and gently touches her arm, asking if she's okay, but she says she's fine, and thanks him for his help, and for being the only one who believes her over Elena. A disgruntled Elena is watching, grabbing you by the wound. Apparently still counting on Klaus to believe her over his maid, the protagonist is sent to a room and told to stay there until they figure it out. Anna naturally agrees, and goes into the room where she starts thinking about why this happened and how it could have happened at all. She remembers the moment when Elena stabbed herself. Anna tries to understand why she did it, and suddenly she remembers Elena telling her that she realized that Klaus would have to choose one person, and that person would be her. She also remembers what Elena said when she said that she asked all the maids to leave the room and that she was the protagonist. Anna can't understand how Elena knows she's a virgin saint, that Anna is a secondary servant and Elena is the main character. Anna can't understand how she knows those words, and then it hits her, that maybe her opponent has the same special memories as she does. Maybe she too was reborn in this world and also read the same novel in her past life. It is already dark outside, and the girl is still in the same room. A knock on the window is heard, and she is puzzled to see what is there. Anna opens the window to see who was knocking. Downstairs in the middle of the dark night, she sees Klaus, and very surprised that he's here, she asks him what's wrong, but he without further ado stretches his arms up and tells the girl to jump right into his arms. Anna is very surprised by Klaus's words. She notices that she is on the second floor and she can't jump from here. She is also forbidden to leave this room, but Klaus, still standing with his hands up, says that the girl has nothing to fear and tells her to jump. Anna tells Klaus not to say anything stupid and notes that she is heavy, but Klaus smiles and looks up at the girl, assuring her that he will catch her. He looks as if he is 1,000% sure that he can catch the girl. Anna looks down and doesn't understand what is wrong with His Majesty, but she decides to jump and stands on the window ledge. She is surprised that Klaus is going to catch her flying down from the second floor, and yet she is not afraid at all. She decides to jump, and when she does, Klaus does catch her in his arms, but before she gets to him, she realizes that it's all about believing that he can catch her, and it's just like Klaus said, he did. They both fell to the ground. She was on top of him. Klaus emphasized that he wanted to meet her very badly, and they were so close to each other that it was as if they were going to kiss right at that moment. The girl once again blushed very much. She starts to cry and apologize to Mr. Klaus. We understand that she is apologizing because of what happened today. She tries to justify herself again, but Klaus understands everything and is on her side as always. He tells Anna that she shouldn't blame herself for what happened. She's very surprised that the king would do such a thing, but he just hugs her and says he's really sorry he couldn't protect her in that difficult moment. The protagonist is still crying. Klaus wipes the tears from her face. She asks him, does he really believe her? But Klaus is adamant that of course he does. She thinks about the fact that he believes her, as if he should. She asks Klaus to be patient, because tomorrow will be the full moon, and they will finally return home. Because of the full moon tomorrow, the Holy Maiden will finally be able to lift the curse from his body. The girl realizes that even if Elena has reincarnated like me, she is the only one who can help Mr. Klaus. The girl is confident that Elena's holy magic will work, and when the curse does break, Mr. Klaus will surely choose Saint Elena, just as he did in the original, the main character. That it's all going to happen because it's canon, but she still can't understand why it makes her so sad and hurt. But Klaus kisses her gently on the forehead and asks her not to make such a sad face anymore. In her thoughts, Anna realizes that she never thought to notice her feelings, Klaus again tells her not to be afraid of anything, but the girl finally realizes suddenly that she is very much in love with Klaus. The action takes place at night. Elena says she wants Anna to see how she will remove the curse that has been placed on His Majesty. Elena brings him to the ritual site to finally ease his burden. Anna realizes that the ceremony has become half-hearted. While Elena looks happily at Klaus, Anna realizes that she's a little uncomfortable with the couple. Anna looks at it all with a little sadness and thinks that it would be better if she had never noticed this new love for Klaus, because according to her, she will never come true. Before the ceremony where Klaus will be removed from the curse, he turns around and looks directly at Anna, who is watching them excitedly. Suddenly Klaus, who was looking at Anna, was yanked by Elena and looked at him sweetly and said that the event was about to start. Klaus didn't even look in her direction. He still couldn't take his eyes off of Anna. The other people who were present at the event were also talking about Klaus and Elena, not two men at all. One of them could be heard telling the other that the two were perfect for each other, the other agreeing with him and saying that Elena would definitely be able to break the king's curse. Anna. Watching Elena hold Klaus's hand, she realizes that it looks like these people are right, because she's just a second-rate maid who is written into the plot of the novel just to show one of Klaus's maids and complete the novel. And she thinks it would be better for the King of Darkness to love the Holy Maiden, because she will never be in his heart. At this point, she almost imagines Elena and Klaus kissing. She thinks if her idol is happy, she will be happy too. That's why she thinks it would be better for Klaus to fall in love with Elena instead of continuing to love her. And in the end, Mr. Claus is finally free from the agony that has haunted him for years. The town owner shows up and tells His Majesty that they are ready to hold the ceremony and asks him to come to the venue. Elena at the full moon turns around and gives her hand to the king. She beckons him instead of where they both need to go. She says that what she is about to do is important to fully activate her magical powers, and so he will just have to repeat after her. She grabs Klaus by the neck as if she's going to kiss him, giggling. Klaus not looking as animated as Elena, Anna watching. It's as if Elena is asking someone to lift the king's curse. A blue glow appears around them, and under Klaus's feet is the same blue circle as when he first met Anna, with enthusiastic people watching. The town owner and his wife are in awe of what they see. The town owner says it looks amazing, and his wife claims it is the power of St. Helen herself. Anna also looks on in amazement at all that is happening. She realizes that it's the exact same picture she saw in the illustration of that novel she read in her past life. Suddenly, at that moment, Elena looks right at Anna and smiles as if she's gloating. Anna realizes that finally the curse will be lifted from the king. But suddenly, instead of that circle appearing again, all that is visible are lightning bolts that have lowered Helena to the ground. The Holy Maiden herself can't understand what is happening. Klaus realizes what has happened and says that Elena is no match for him. The Holy Virgin is very surprised. She listens to Klaus's words with her mouth open. At that moment, Klaus turns around and walks away, while Elena calls out to him in the back and asks him to wait. Her spell didn't work because their hearts are apart. The town owner and his wife are also surprised by what happened. They say that Elena is right, and don't ask His Majesty why he shouldn't try his luck one more time, because according to them, her magic will definitely help him to break that unfortunate curse. But Klaus tells them they're pissing him off, and he and Elena are never going to work out. He says he's done with all this. When their hearts are close, it's never going to happen, and his eyes have changed back to red. Apparently, his curse is starting to take over again. Elena is just shocked by the words and actions of the king. She watches him leave in complete bewilderment. All this also frantically watched. And Anna, she did not understand why the spell of the Holy Maiden did not work as in the novel. Klaus walks over to Anna and bends down to ask her if she understands him now. He smiles again and gently touches the girl until she realizes what is happening. Suddenly, Klaus takes Anna in his arms. She tries to tell him to let her go, but Klaus just bows to her a little and says he only wants one girl, and that girl is Anna. The girl blushes a little. The action moves to the mansion. It's still night outside, and Klaus and Anna are kissing on the bed. Anna tries to stop him again as usual, but the king asks her what else she needs. The girl is very horny and looks right at Klaus. Suddenly, Klaus starts kissing the girl with his tongue again, and she tries to stop him, but Klaus says he won't stop. Obviously, they both enjoy it. They are still kissing, and the girl is so horny that she clutches the sheet from the bed in her hand, all because she also gets incredible pleasure from what is happening, although she always tries to prevent it. The girl asks why the curse that has possessed Klaus is getting stronger again, but Klaus, who is on top, asks if the girl still doesn't understand. He grabs her hand and tells her that he finally has a chance to touch her body, and now they'll be safe from interference. Klaus's eyes turn red. He says that now he will get revenge on Anna for all the times he tried to hold back. Whether from excitement or because of the curse, rivers of sweat are running down Klaus's face, but he still looks pretty determined and ready to finally take the girl. And on this interesting moment, and our second part comes to its logical conclusion. If you want to see the release of the third part, be sure to subscribe to the channel and do not forget to click on the bell to not miss the release of the new part of this manga, when under this video will accumulate 30.000 views or 5.000 likes. I will immediately begin to do a retelling of the next part.